Hello, everyone, and welcome to your Daily Detroit, sharing what to know and where to go in Southeast Michigan. It is Friday, September 27th, 2024. I am Jer Stays, and across the table from me is not Devin O'Reilly. Hello, Shianne Nocerini.
Hello, how are you?
You're not Devin.
I am definitely not Devin. Devin is busy this week.
He is very busy this week. And also, we wanted to mark your return to the air. Now, I want to say you've been very important behind the scenes.
Yes.
Editing and making sure the show goes up. I've gotten some messages. Why aren't you on the air more? Well, we'll talk about it after our main topic. We'll get into it, and you're going to be back, but we'll do a little behind the scenes. Our main thing we're going to do today, online, it has been crazy. You go on Facebook. You go into the corners of Detroit discussions. There are people who are very upset about Sanders. Recently, Sanders restarted production of their jarred hot fudge topping. Their milk chocolate hot fudge topping is something that people love. They had production issues. They've also gone through some ownership changes.
Yeah.
And so there people were saying, okay, it doesn't taste the same. It's not right. It's whatever. So what we're going to do here is we actually acquired a jar of the old stuff and a jar of the new stuff.
Yes.
And we're going to take them head to head and give our thoughts. Has it changed? Is it as good? Are they the same? Is this too much? Is this just people arguing online, like the blue dress?
Right.
Remember when the internet had the blue, what was it, the blue dress and then...
The gold and white dress?
Right. Like you couldn't, like certain people saw one thing and certain people... That was, I think, the last good day of the internet.
I mean...
Remember those innocent days?
Remember when our arguments were about dresses?
Well, we're bringing it back with Fudge.
Yes.
But for the uninitiated, Sanders is an important part of Detroit history. And I know some of our older listeners will know it by heart. Mm-hmm. But I want to include some folks because, look, most of our listeners are, frankly, under 40 years old. A good number of them are in their 20s and 30s. Sanders may not have been something that they really interface with because it was on the downswing. I remember going to Sanders on the east side in Grosse Pointe Park, but I was a kid. And I was a kid 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And there are people who did not exist in that period and do not know that world of Sanders that became popular across the region. It started in 1875 by Fred Sanders Schmidt. You can go online and see all kinds of old pictures of the old downtown Sanders and the locations they were. Remember when we did blogging back in the day and there was that sign that appeared from the 40s of the Sanders? I mean, it's gone now, but when they were redoing the facades, because if you're new to town within the last 10 years, Woodward's had a complete glow up. Woodward did not look good for a number of years. A bunch of its facades got ruined, and then a number of developers, including Bedrock, actually replaced a lot of those facades to make them look like the city it's supposed to be.
Right.
And there's so many firsts with Sanders. It was the first with higher counters for seating, like diner seating. When you go up to the counter, they were the first to use electric motors with everything. And you know who fixed those electric motors? None other than handyman Henry Ford.
Well, look at him.
Because he went and did whatever kind of job he had to do. Whatever it is with Henry Ford in general, he's just part of Detroit history. He also was the first carry-out service. So if you have ever carried out food, you have Sanders to thank for that. And they also did dry ice. And this is a big deal because they were founded in 1875.
Right.
For a long time, refrigeration was just not a thing.
No.
It's a more recent invention. It used to be that people would go up to frozen lakes and pick ice out of the lake. And
there's a reason why my 70-plus-year-old aunt calls it an ice box and not a refrigerator.
My house still has the ice box, the whole ice box unit to the back, where people would literally come to the back of the house and drop off the ice. Just your stuff would be there, and on the other side, they would just put the ice to keep your stuff going, because that's how the world worked. There was no plug-in fridge. I remember hearing stories from my grandmother about the first time she got a fridge. She was born in 1909. First time she got a fridge. First time she got a car. These are things that we just take for granted. But she didn't get a car until the 1950s.
Right.
Because they weren't widespread, and telling me about how revolutionary it was, over on the east side of Detroit. So these are things that are huge changes in the last 100 years. At one point, there were 57 Sanders stores throughout the Great Lakes region. Currently, there's just 3. Clinton Township, which is their main flagship store, Rochester, and then Mackinac Island, which is, honestly, it's probably the one we've been to the most. I've been to the flagship store in Clinton Township. It's out by, M59?
Yeah, it's
it is out there.
It is past C.J. Barrymore's.
You know what would be a great tourist attraction? Somebody needs to do the investments to make like a Sanders theme spot downtown Detroit.
They do.
Parker's Alley, something like that.
Yeah.
Because that's how you keep the brand in people's minds. Because I don't know if it's something that they're just going to keep making stuff until people forget about it or whatever. But
I mean, but the thing is like you can get like Sanders chocolates in the store.
Like everywhere.
Like everywhere. You can find them at like Sam's Club. Okay. Like they're out there.
I just love experiences.
But I
want like the
personally,
Sanders
like,
experience.
I picked up the original jar on Mackinac Island.
Yep, just before they ended production.
Exactly. It
So
was
we
like
got it as fresh, unquote. None of this stuff is fresh.
Right.
But like,
but it was like
because it's
There
only
were
because
two-
it's shelf stable.
it is shelf stable. There were only like 2 jars left in the entire store. And you and I got the last 2 jars.
It was
It was madness.
It was
hotness.
madness. It was
and
madness.
then I drove all the way out to Clinton Township because the fudge you can only buy in the stores now. Whereas before, we used to be able to pick up a jar of Sanders hot fudge at Kroger or Meijer.
Right, they've pulled them out of stores.
They have pulled them out of stores, so you can only get them in store, so in Clinton Township, in Mackinac Island, or in Rochester, or order them online.
Okay.
And I was like, it seems silly to me to like order it online when it's just...
Yeah.
I took my oldest and we went and got ice cream and
You made a fun time of
we
it.
made a fun time of it. When we drove by CJ Barrymore's, he was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Well, it used to be just putt-putt, but now it's this."
Oh, man. CJ Barrymore's.
I used to date a guy who lived across the street from there in high school.
I mean, you're just regional unity.
Yeah, I know.
All right,
Anyway.
Cheyenne, let's get into this. I am excited.
I am excited too.
Now, right off the bat, I have some thoughts.
Yes,
Looks wise, one is lighter than the other.
it is. Yes, the
One is clearly lighter than the other.
the old recipe.
I don't know if it's original, to be honest with you.
I don't know if it's original either, but
I feel like, but this is the one lots of people know
yes,
because it was the recipe for a long time.
yes.
So let's give that a shot. Went all the way in. Nice one, Shy.
Well, it's a tall bottle. That's the one thing, though, I will say.
That's another difference. So what do you think about tall versus short bottle? I like the short bottle better. That's already a plus in my book.
Yes, I feel like while the tall bottle was, I think people are used to seeing it.
I like the consistency is very flowy.
Yes, it is when it's heated up. Now, we did heat these up.
Yep, per the instructions, about 15 seconds each.
Yes.
We are serving these with Ben and Jerry's vanilla ice cream because that's what was at the co-op.
Yeah, right.
We thought about doing Ray's or something like that, but we just didn't have time. We've been wanting to do this tasting for like a month.
I've had this hot fudge. Well, I've had the original since.
Well, since they closed down, as we talked about. All right, let's dive into it. This is the sweetness that I remember. All right.
Yeah, it tastes like Sanders hot fudge. I don't know.
Well, but because we have that context, this tastes like what I remember it, you know, in my 20s or whatever.
Right.
Now, I don't remember as much of the actual place because I went there, right? But I was a kid. So let's do the next one.
Okay. This is the new version, which is darker.
Now, we'll notice that the older version has corn syrup. This version is cane sugar.
Yes.
The consistency is so much better with this. Like, just look at this off of the spoon.
Yeah.
So there's definitely differences. Like, anybody who says that it's different is correct.
Yes.
This is like, even just in the look and the consistency alone, that is a difference. So if you are like, oh, it's changed, it really feels like it's changed.
I feel like it's more viscous
Yes.
than the original version.
To me, the color is more appetizing.
I mean, I could see that. Yeah,
It is different,
it is.
but it's better for me. What do you think?
I think it's richer in flavor.
Yes. Now, I haven't talked to the company, but I wonder, being that, like, I'm looking at the back of these ingredients, okay? And cream, cane sugar, salted butter, chocolate. Those are your top ingredients. On the old stuff, cream, corn syrup, sugar, water, chocolate.
There's butter in the new one.
There's cocoa butter in the old one. So the new one has been reformulated. I bet you, considering like the age of Saunders, 1875, they didn't have corn syrup. This probably tastes more like it's supposed to taste, but I feel like people who have spent the last few decades knowing Sanders, they're used to this, but it's not as good. I feel like this is just a hunch, a conspiracy theory, if you will, that this is a more shelf-stable version of what it was more originally like, because this is far better to me. It tastes like real food.
Yeah.
The old Sanders doesn't taste like real food to me. I mean, let's go head to head here. We've got whole jars to eat. We can just, go crazy.
So let's taste this on its own without the ice cream.
Okay, that's what I'm doing now. Also, the new one changes its consistency when it touches the ice cream a bit better.
It does. The old version, I feel, was very, I don't want to say watery, but...
Well, the old version is exactly what I remember and bought and kind of loved.
Yeah.
But it's really weird. The new one is new. It is different, and I actually like it better. If you're somebody who does not want change, I see why you're upset by it. Like, if you don't want change and you really like that corn syrup sweet, some people really like the corn syrup sweet. I do not. If I have the option, I can, sense corn syrup in something.
Me too. Yeah.
I tend to try to stay away from things with corn syrup in them. I mean, I'll still drink it or whatever, but, if you give me my choice of a corn syrup versus cane sugar, I'm going cane sugar every day.
The old version is loads sweeter.
Yes, much sweeter.
Because of the corn syrup.
Yes.
It's a different type of sweetness. Mm-hmm. And the new version has a more depth of flavor. Now, these are both milk chocolate.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the new one is chocolatier.
Yes.
I feel like the old one is more cloyingly sweet.
Yes.
As I dive into this new one, it's the core memory. This reminds me, I was telling you earlier, there was a Sanders down the street that I biked to my friend with. This is it.
Yeah.
This is much more of the actual, if you actually went to the shop. Mm-hmm. It feels more like that and unlocks more of a memory than the old jarred stuff.
I agree. Yeah.
So the old one has the issue that I kind of have, unpopular opinion, the kind of issue I have with some flavors of Faygo. Especially anything that has 159% of your sugar in one bottle, which I can't do anymore. So one thing I wish is that Faygo would have more diet and zero options because I would drink it more. Yeah. Right now, I drink Faygo maybe once a quarter at this point.
Yeah.
Because I literally under doctor's orders can't.
Right.
And I can drink zero or diet. And I know there's some flavors and Engineer Randy, but where I live, nobody sells diet. That's the weird thing about living in the city. There's so few places that actually sell zero or diet cola. I end up having to go to the suburbs.
Yeah.
And I think it's really something that should be an option that's available. But I also know lots of people really like the corn syrup. And so it feels like to me, a lot of the anger online, if you do not like change, then I understand why you're upset. I personally will buy the heck out of this new stuff, where the old stuff, I would get it for friends' mothers.
Yeah.
I would buy the heck out of the new stuff.
I would too, honestly. I was worried in the beginning because I had heard that there was...
Well, because people on Facebook were just upset.
Yeah.
So I get it. If you don't like change, if you like corn syrup sweet, and a lot of people do.
Now, I almost wonder what the ages of the people who were complaining.
Here's the thing. Out of this old stuff, it tastes exactly like I remember it in my 20s, okay? Yeah. The old stuff. I aged out of that sweetness for me, and my palate changed. Now, a lot of people, if that's all they knew and that they were attached to, if they grew up with the corn syrup version, depending on their age, because let me guarantee you in 1900, they weren't making this with corn syrup.
No, they weren't. But, when they were probably making it with the corn syrup.
I don't know if this is a fact for Sanders, but I do know that in general, it was the 70s and the 80s where a lot of places switched to high fructose corn syrup as their thing. Mm-hmm. And I think, honestly, we're all worse off for it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not a doctor, and that's not medical advice, but my doctor is not a fan of me consuming lots of corn syrup.
It's not great for you.
No.
And the reason that they went with corn syrup was,
Cost,
and also to help corporate agro.
Shai, this it's been a minute now, and this consistency is really nice with the ice cream. The way it solidifies with it, man, we've got the old stuff too next to it. It's just a different vibe. It's really nice.
Yeah.
So, final verdict is, yes, it is different, but the new stuff tastes better.
I agree.
All right, let's do a little housekeeping because Shianne, you have been off the mic for a while, and it's not because we don't like you. And I'll get messages and be like, because people say I want more stuff about parenting, more stuff with kids, just all the different things,
right,
that people want us to talk about. And I think you bring a lot to the show. It's funny because you actually learned how to speak on a microphone in a very interesting way.
I did. I used to work for an airline, And so I was the person making the announcements.
Give us an announcement for Techtown Airlines.
Okay. Good morning, passengers. This is your flight for Techtown 313. You will be leaving in roughly 30 minutes. You have one carry-on item and one personal item. If you have more bags than that, please consolidate them. Otherwise, I will have to check one.
I will have to check your bag. That's amazing. So the reality is you've got a lot of stuff going on home, and
Yes.
we always are trying to be as accommodating to everybody who brings value to the team.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those accommodations is that you usually are able to edit the show late at night as opposed to working during the day.
Right. The reason I haven't been around, guys, is because it was summer and I have two children. And
Two children take a lot.
two children take a lot, and they're in two different age ranges. And I didn't send my oldest to summer camp this year. Usually we would send them to like day camp, and this summer we didn't. And so I had to do a lot of parenting. Our childcare situation has changed a lot in the past year. So while I used to have my mom who could take care of our kids, we're at a different age.
Yeah, a whole different situation.
It's a whole
now.
different situation
Yeah.
now. So our childcare situation has changed drastically in the past year. So
How has it been kind of juggling things? Because I think people don't realize how much work for Daily Detroit happens behind the scenes. Because a 2-hour podcast that's rambling is easier to produce than a 25-minute podcast that's not. And you're a big part of making sure that we don't ramble.
right. I'm not going to say that it's been a walk in the park, because it's hard that I am parenting all day, and then I basically my oldest can go to sleep on his own. It's not a big deal, but my youngest still needs help. So I throw him at my husband, and my husband takes bedtime for our kids while I go to my dark, dingy basement to edit the show.
Which is very different than when I heard on the Daily. They were talking about the people who power the Daily, and this man with a British accent's like, I don't have to work at night because I'm in London. And it's got that whole thing. And I was thinking of you while I was driving down Warren. I was like, oh, no, Cheyenne is not in London.
I'm definitely
And
not
I
in
really
London.
appreciate you because you're not in London. You're here making this thing happen.
Yeah.
Doing the overnight edit. So that we can turn a show around, or segments. Oftentimes we will record something that day, and then also there'll be other segments. So for instance, we did a thing on Palmer Park. I actually recorded that a few days before, and you kind of jimmied that all together.
Right. Yeah. So I do the edit at night, and then I ship it over to you.
And then there's usually like another check that I do,
Yeah.
not because of any work quality, but
No.
more eyes is a good thing. Or more ears is a good thing.
Yeah.
Or, tweaking bumper music when
Right.
we do bumper music
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That's where I've been. I haven't been gone.
You've been there, but just not on the air.
I haven't been on the air.
So what are some of the things that you want to talk about over the next few months as you are more and more into the rotation and sharing the mics with us? I know that, as I said, listeners have been really clear about more stuff for, their commutes, for parenting, for across the region. Because, like, in reality, like, this region has a lot of drivers, got a lot of people with kids. We did a recent survey, like something like 60% of our audience has kids, like, that are younger. And the thing is, and the reason I don't talk about it as much, cards on table, is I don't have them.
Right.
So I will talk about things and I will ask questions, but like I don't feel like I'm the best messenger for that. I mean, I love taking out my nephews.
Right.
But, Devin talks about it sometimes.
Right. But also, he's at a different stage of life with his child than I am, right? I think she's like a year younger than my youngest, but also I have an almost 10-year-old.
And you have boys.
And I have boys. And I also have a disabled child. So I have
A wide variety of experiences.
so many,
as they might say on public radio.
I have so many different experiences.
Not that one's harder. Or what,
No,
you're
not
You're
at
not
all.
trying to compare or whatever.
But I think that while we can both talk about things to do with children or parenting, we're coming at it from two different angles.
Yeah, and you live in two different parts of the region.
We do. Yeah.
Because you are actually up in the South Oakland corridor, near Woodward. So we've got a few different stories that we've been doing up in Ferndale, Oak Park, Royal Oak, that kind of area. How for you has it been, raising your kids in that part of town?
I am from the east side, and I moved to Ferndale with my husband back in, 2011, I want to say. And things have definitely changed. And I know we've talked about it in our private Discord group.
If you're a member
If-
on Patreon, you can join.
You can, about Oak Park and its glow up in the past couple years. And we've been in Oak Park, I want to say my oldest will be 10 in November. So we've been in Oak Park, I think, for like 11 years now. I remember voting to allow alcohol in bars and restaurants and like not being a dry city anymore. That's how long we've been in Oak Park. And the fact that now you can drink at a bar, and we have a new bar on 9 Mile.
And we're actually going to be talking about them next week, Hanson's Hall. I went and visited them. We're going to be dropping actually a piece in the newsletter about it.
Yeah. So that is really exciting. That little stretch of 9 Mile is just blossoming. And
I saw those actually use those bike lanes and then all the amenities there.
yeah, I really love Oak Park. And so I have, my oldest is in a school in Royal Oak, and then my youngest is in a school in Hazel Park. And so I really do go everywhere. I just like kind of triangulate.
Like if something's new in that area, we're just like texting you like, hey, Cheyenne, go take a picture of
Yeah,
this.
exactly. And so it's just like, okay. But I am excited to see what more is going to happen in Oak Park.
Yeah. Well, Cheyenne, it's so good to talk to you. I really appreciate you. If you've got specific things you want us to talk about or stories or even like lists of recommendations, because you take these kids everywhere, places to go, different kinds of stuff, let us know. dailydetroit@gmail.com. Shianne Nocerini, thank you for trying some Sanders. I feel like a Sanders reborn here. I honestly, man, I'm shook, actually. I'm actually pretty happy. And just so you know, Sanders did not sponsor this. We paid for this with our own money.
They didn't even realize.
They're not even knowing we're doing this. We're posting this. They have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, I went into that Sanders and I just kind of bought my jar of fudge and some ice
Did you wear sunglasses and a mustache?
No, but I'm sure they remember my rambunctious child hopping around looking at all the candy.
Shianne Nocerini, it's so good to talk to you.
It's great to talk to you too, Jer.
If you've got suggestions for stuff you want us to talk about, places to check out, a favorite place that you want us to shout out or go take a look at, lists of things to do for a specific age range or an area of town, let us know. dailydetroit@gmail.com. Cheyenne will have your back. With that, I'm Jer Stays. Remember to drop 5 stars on your favorite podcast app. Tell a friend about the show, and we will talk next week. I want more ice cream. Do you want more ice cream?
I do.
Let's go get more ice cream.
Why don't you just bring the ice cream here?
Why didn't we do that? That was dumb.
I don't know.